The LAX era has officially begun on TNA orally, I say. Welcome back, guys, to Fog Wrestling. Last week, LAX were told that they can simply no longer just sit on the sidelines. They can no longer sit at a desk and spew hatred against the white people of TNA. They gotta start earning their paychecks, and that's what happened tonight. Homicide, he stepped into the ring with Sonjay Dutt, the player from the Himalaya.
That's what Jim Cornette said. He run down the gauntlet. The Mexicans have to work, or else it's back across the border they go. And you know what? Some edgy stuff. I like it, man.
Yeah, we also had Monty Brown win another absolute jobber match. And we had a big main event. And I'm not talking about the arms of Christian Cage, but it was a big main event in terms of the people in it. It was Jeff Jarrett and Scott Steiner taking on Sting and Christian Cage. So, see, for people that say TNA has always been shite, or for these losers that want to bash TNA and say it's never been better, that main event alone is better than any main event WWE's put on Raw or SmackDown, and I'm talking years.
Aye, decades, man.
So, I mean, come on.
At least a decade.
Yeah, well, when was the last time that...
When was the last time you had a four-man match on a free episode of television that had names of that caliber?
You would at least probably need to go back, I would say, around the brand split era just to even possibly get names like that.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
And the one time it seemed like WWE were going to give us a semi-big tag team match, they choked out and had Brock attack Cody.
That was it.
Not that I'm saying Cody's better than any of these guys, but it's like the one time where WWE were going to give you a star-studded tag team match or a tag team match that felt big, they're like, we don't want to give you that.
That shit, pal. Not a chance.
Anyway, what's TNA giving you? We start off, we got Borash outside Sting's office. Sting was talking to him. Christian and Sting decide that tonight they're going to be taking on Steiner and Jarrett. So they haven't really been getting along. They both want the title, or at least Christian wants the title. He doesn't really know what Sting wants. Sting says he's just here to stop Jeff Jarrett, but I don't really know. The Sting Christian doesn't really, I don't know, I'm not really digging this whole, it's not a bromance, but they seem to have an alliance, some mutual respect, but I'll respect Christian when he turns heel.
But Sting's whole gimmick is that he doesn't want Jeff Jarrett with the belt. He doesn't really care about the belt himself, but Christian's in it, can't afford himself by helping Sting along the way. I agree, better ways of helping them both out, but I don't think this bromance is going to last a wholly long, put it that way.
Yes, right. Opening match, Sonjay Dutt versus Homicide. For me, I don't know, I felt like Sonjay Dutt looked too good in this match.
He did. I think Homicide... I wouldn't say Homicide got jobbed out like at the end of the day, because it wasn't really a definitive ending to it, but end of the day, I think Homicide should be defeating Sonjay Dutt. I think you need to start pushing LAX.
Well, I mean, he did, but he did it with outside interference.
No, he did, but... I don't know, Sonjay Dutt at this point just feels like a jobber to me. I think LAX should be doing it a lot better.
Yeah, I think Homicide should be getting a clean win over Sonjay Dutt.
Gringo Killer.
Anyway,
the Sonjay Killer.
We didn't get it, and then we had Killings come out to make the save, and LAX ran, so Ron Killings, that's the truth.
You could have been a member of LAX last week, but nope, they obviously rejected him.
You're a little bit too black, you need to be a bit more brown, I say.
Come on, Truth, you know, Dale, you're just the wrong shade of white, I say. Truth thought about it and he got battled.
He's very dark. I don't think anyone's ever really going to accuse Truth of being the wrong shade of white.
No.
Maybe wrong shade of black. Wrong shade of brown.
I say, but to tell you what, he's not joining LAX, but he's... Our Truth at this point deserves better, but I think his best years in TNA are beyond him here.
Probably, right. Larry Sabisco's arguing with Slick Johnson. Slick then says, don't worry, Larry, you're going to look great bald, and I'm going to prove it to you. And then he runs off. So Slick Johnson, he's gone. We see a video package of Cornette disbanding in Team Canada. Turns out that Team Canada is going to get a second chance next week. They will take on 4 members of TNA. If a member of TNA wins, they get a title shot of their choice. But if Team Canada lose, then they are disbanded for real. So, yeah. Team Canada sticking around for one more week, it seems. That's if they win, but if they get beat, then they're gone, and someone gets a title shot, and I'd have to assume they're going to pick Jeff Jarrett.
Yeah, they're going to have to pick Jeff Jarrett, I'd say. But Team 3D, Rhino and Jay Lethal is the team of 4. But again, Jim Cornette just giving them like lifelines. Like, why? Kind of just false promises at the end of the day. A couple of weeks into his reign of running things, and he's dropping the ball.
Yeah, Eric Young is worried he's going to lose his job again, and then Slick Johnson comes out and he gives Eric Young some photos of Sabisco that have been like photoshopped with him bald, and they start passing them out to all the people in the crowd, and so there you go. Yeah. Team Canada came out to try and stop Eric Young, but that is what it is.
Eric Young, I like Eric Young. Underutilised, I think, over the course of his career.
We get a video package of Shane Douglas training the Naturals. I mean, he's going to have to train them harder than this, because I don't see them honouring the death of Chris Candido.
Yeah, who really cares, man, about the Naturals or Shane Douglas? Shane Douglas is one of those guys that really just shouldn't have got made out of the 90s in terms of a wrestling career. Because he's doing nothing for me.
Right, we then have, yeah, I agree. We then have Rhino inside the old ECW arena at the recent TNA house show there, and he makes a speech about his heart belonging to TNA. He's here in TNA for the long run, and he basically takes a shot at WWE, saying there's nobody in TNA handing him a script, and they won't fire him for knocking over a flower pot. So I don't know if this is fucking, I don't know if Rhino legitimately knocked over, or unless that's a figure of speech or something, I don't know. Then he claims that he is TNA, and then he says that the same person that fired him, that motherfucker, the same person that wanted him back, that was the same motherfucker that fired him last year. He says he's not in it for the money. Well, that's good, because the TNA money is not as good as the WWE money, brother.
Obviously, McMahon wanted Rhino back for the ECW rebrand.
Well, I think that's pretty fair.
I think that is fair.
Would they be wanting him back if the ECW brand never came back? I mean, probably not.
Yeah, but you know what, man? See these digs at WWE that TNA's doing? I think it's cheap. I don't understand this whole gimmick, right? Of they're giving us scripts that isn't me. Yo, like Rhino,
that's burying wrestling. That is, I mean, I've got to call it out, because I'll bash the fuck out of people in 2025 for saying that's breaking kayfabe. When you're basically saying here that all this is scripted shit, and they hand us things and tell us what to say. I think that's piss poor for Rhino.
No, it is piss poor, but it's also it's a mindset that we see in today's wrestling. These are things that guys would have been saying when they joined AEW, like a couple of years ago after getting released for WWE. Tell me, Rusev, Aleister Black, guys like that didn't say that in Andrade about WWE when they first joined AEW.
No, they probably did. Last little note on this. Do you think that, I mean, I like TNA, and I'm not going to sit here and say I wish it didn't exist. Obviously not, because I think it gave us some great moments in wrestling. And honestly, it gave you a good alternative at a time when WWE was going down the toilet. I think that I do actually think towards the later years in the 2000s, I think TNA certainly had a case where it was better than WWE. The only unfortunate thing is for them, WWE still had your Michaels, your Takers.
Yep.
And it's just a shame that when those guys kind of retired, that's when TNA really went downhill. If TNA could have produced its best years going into like 2012, 2013, 14, when WWE really went downhill, it would have been interesting to see how TNA would have got on against them in comparison. But do you think that TNA really hampered the return and rebirth of ECW? I just look at all the good ECW guys that could actually still go in 2006. Not saying they were in great condition, but you think of the Dudleys, Raven, Rhino. I mean, that is 4 guys that would have helped the original, the ECW WWE version massively.
It did, but I don't think ECW had a massive shelf life.
So do you think those guys would have pretty much been given like a Tommy Dreamer role, where they maybe look okay for 4 months and then they're just there to put over Daivari and shit like that?
They absolutely prolong ECW, right? But we watched ECW. ECW, when did it stop feeling like ECW and feeling more like the third brand of WWE? I mean, honestly, did it even get out of 2006? I don't think it did.
No,
I would say
Elimination Chamber.
I'd say the December to Dismember. I mean, that's when everyone walked out. Everyone wanted it released.
I think that from One Night Stand up to December to Dismember, I would probably give the ECW return a 6 or a 7.
Yeah.
Out of 10. I think that the shows were pretty decent, and I think that we had some good. I mean, RVD Cena was fantastic. I think Sabu made the Big Show title matches somewhat interesting. As pish as Big Show is, I mean, the guy was almost defending the belt every week.
Yep.
Batista, Kane, Taker, Flair, guy was
DX.
I mean, yeah, the guy was a fighting champion, something that fucking Cody Rhodes doesn't know nothing about.
And again, some people argue that's not ECW, but they were still sprinkled in, like, Extreme Rule matches, barbed wire and shit was getting used. See, going in 2007, man, and especially 08, it's not ECW.
Nah, it's just development.
But the question is, did the Dudleys, Rhino, and Raven add more to TNA in these years than they would have if they joined ECW? Probably.
It's a shame we couldn't clone them and have them be two places at the same time.
Absolutely, but here, it is what it is. I think for their careers, TNA is better than the ECW rebrand.
No, I agree with that, but I just think that did hamper ECW, the fact that a lot of their guys were, in TNA. Anyway, up next got Monty Brown versus Kenny King. Monty Brown wins. I don't really know what's happening with Monty Brown. They're just having them beat guys like every single week. Kenny King, Norman Smiley. Doesn't really matter who. It's just he seems to come out, job them out. And also, I'm pretty sure that his taunt when he comes in, his motion, it looks like he's snorting lines off the top rope.
He is. He gets on like the kind of guy that's snorting lines off the top rope.
But Monty Brown, I think you can see there's potential in this guy. And then you look at when he went to WWE on ECW, funny enough, we're just talking about it, totally fucked him up. He went from being a guy that's charismatic and can talk to just a guy that's sitting in a four group. Oh, the new breed. Did this guy even utter a word in ECW?
I'm not convinced he did. And he was capable of talking.
No, definitely so. Is what it is. Right, we then are with Sting and Jarrett backstage. Steiner and Jarrett, sorry. Jarrett says Sting's preached for months about how it'd be the worst thing for TNA if Jarrett got the title back. Well, guess what? He's got it back and he thinks things are great. And he believes that it's going to be a nightmare for Sting. He's not going to let go of the belt anytime soon. He says that Sting and Christian cannot coexist, whereas him and Scott Steiner can. I believe at this point, Borash then mentions the fact that, well, if Steiner wins at the pay-per-view, then he'll be challenging you. And yeah, Jarrett didn't like this. Told him to shut up.
No, he didn't like it, but here, Scott Steiner, does he want the gold or does he want to be the lackey of Jeff Jarrett? But see, I don't think TNA did the greatest job with Scott Steiner either. Yo, some epic moments, right? That's undisputed. Great in the main event Mafia and shit like that. But I do believe that Scott Steiner deserved a world title run in TNA.
Scott Steiner's too good to be a lackey for Jeff Jarrett.
No, he is, and again, yeah, maybe Steiner's one of those guys like a Hall and Nash where they don't really give a fuck about the world title as long as they're getting paid good. Maybe that was it here, right? But I think it's a bit of a disgrace that he didn't have the TNA world title. At least some form of run.
Yeah, we then get the Paparazzi Productions. Nash gives a lesson on Humiliation 101. He says it's in the bag. He gets a big body bag out. He says you put your opponent in this and it symbolises the death of their career. And then he asks Alex Shelley and Johnny Devine if they're with him. And then it gets a to be continued. We are continued. We're in the arena. They come out with a body bag. They get in the ring. Nash says he's got some hot news tonight, guys. He says, ladies and gentlemen, President Bush, Osama bin Laden, as he points at the body bag. Didn't really get this. Nash says that they're $25 million richer. He jokes that $6 million will go to Shelley, 6 to Devine, and he's going to get 13 because he's big sexy, I guess.
You say you don't get it, but I mean, this is 2006. 9/11's 5 years removed. Well, bin Laden is number one suspect. He's the most wanted guy in the world. This is, I mean, they wouldn't fucking dare do this.
Osama bin Sabin.
I know, but they wouldn't dare do this in 2025.
So was there a £25 million? Was there a?
I don't know if there was a bounty on Bin Laden's head, right? I mean, obviously, I know they wanted him dead and they wanted him captured and all that shit, but I can't recall 2006, right, and reading the news and seeing, 25 million richer if you get this guy, 25M on this guy's head, but like, look at the current state of the world, right, in 2025.
Yeah, but you know what? The reason I get what he was going for. I just didn't know there was a bounty because bounties seem to be put on like small time killers, not a guy the fucking size of Osama bin Laden.
I know, but maybe it's just in a form of exaggeration, a bit of banter. Maybe that's
True.
what it is.
Anyway,
no, but seeing 2025, right? Is someone going to come out in a feud with somebody in a body bag and be like, look, President Trump, there's Vladimir Putin. Give me 20 million.
No, because we're in a pathetic world now where something like that can never be said. Anyway, the bag opens up and Chris Sabin gets out of it, and that's when Nash says, "Holy shit, it's Osama bin Sabin." And they start putting the boots in. Nash says it's humiliating. Jay Lethal runs down to make the save. What's your thoughts on this? I think this is one of the best runs in Nash's career.
It is. But again, some people might view it as a waste, but I don't, because
it's entertaining.
Yeah, he is. And you can't dispute it. And he's adding something to the X Division that it doesn't have. Character and a bit of personality.
Yes. Then Samoa Joe has an interview with Borash.
I may be fat, Jeremy, but I'm a Samoan submission machine.
Yeah, he says that Sting was the man, but now he is the man. That's just not true. But yeah, he talks about him winning at the pay-per-view, said he's going to choke his opponent out. And then we get the tag team match main event, Jeff Jarrett and Steiner versus Sting and Christian Cage.
What a match.
Yeah, good match, good main event. And it ends with Sting getting the win. So, Sting beats Jarrett. Interesting. Thoughts?
I thought it was a good match. I mean, this is a match you should main event literally this is a match you can main event anything. But you can't help but feel that Samoa Joe just feels like the fucking bit part in this, doesn't he?
No, he does. Steiner came in at the end and hit them with the belt. He puts on the Steiner recliner, but then Joe runs in. He gets into the mix and they start fighting. And then we had Sting screaming at Jarrett, saying, "You're garbage. You're cancer." And then Christian is left in the ring. He's got the title. And that's how the week ends, really. So, Christian with the belt, Sting and Jarrett fighting, Steiner and Joe fighting. So, Christian maybe get his hands back on this championship.
Yeah, what am I going to get out of 10? I'll get a 6 out of 10 for Impact, the 6th of July, 2006. Sixes.
Yeah, but I think a 6 is fair as well. So I really enjoy the Kevin Nash stuff right now, and just I'd like to see LAX not look, like they're struggling to beat fucking Sanjay Dutt personally. But 6 out of 10 is what I'm getting it. We'll catch you guys in the next one. Till then, peace.